Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Illinois State Fairgrounds, home of the Springfield Mile, one of the most historic dirt tracks in all of the country. Today, though, it's a little bit muddy. That's because big rains came through yesterday and intermittent showers have kept it wet today. But there is progression. There are sportsman cars on the racetrack right now just trying to groom this a little bit better, getting it more close to race conditions. We are, however, delayed. We're expecting a start at about 2:30 Central Time, 3:30 Eastern, but we've got a lot of things to look forward to, that's for sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Mike Massaro alongside analyst Jim Trado. And Jim, this is the first leg of the Dirt Double. In a couple of weeks, we'll head to DuQuoin, and if a driver wins not only here in Springfield, but also in DuQuoin, well, they'll pick up a cool 50 grand.
Performance Heat has stepped in. If you win both of these dirt races here in 2 weeks from now in DuQuoin, it's a $50,000 bonus. One thing to keep in mind, though, the highest point average between the two races, if you don't win them both, you can still win $5,000.
You know, there's some really good dirt track racers here. Buddy Kovoid is one of them, and earlier today he caught up with our pit reporter, Rob Klepper.
It's been a very busy summer for the defending USAC National Midget Champion, Buddy Kofoid. 14 total wins this year. A big one at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Dirt Track. You won the BC 39 a couple weeks later. Put it in the show at the Knoxville Nationals, won Rookie of the Race. And here we are at a 1 mile dirt track called Springfield, my friend, in the ARCA Menards series. How excited are you to be behind the wheel this 15 and how this whole deal come together?
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to this. This is something that I'd hopefully love to get into pretty soon, and you know, the stock car stuff has always been really fun to me. With running the truck races and then doing some late model stuff now has been really fun for me. And but yeah, with my involvement with Toyota and being a development driver for them, you know, they have a lot of great unique opportunities and partners and teams like Venturini Motorsports and Mobile One, to where I can do stuff like this. So, you know, I think my midget stuff has helped me open the door to get into some late model stuff, and then that's kind of helped me get in the door for some stuff like this. So hopefully today can be a good day, and hopefully maybe lead into more in the future. 2
truck starts this year, both on the dirt at Bristol and Knoxville, where you posted 11th place finish there on the half mile, the sprint car capital of the world, a place now you can almost call home after that great run at the Nationals. But how much do you think that's going to transfer over to the ARCA cars here on the big Springfield mile?
I think as far as the feel, the weight, and probably the power, and as far as what it'll feel like being kind of sideways in the dirt, I think that'll be really similar. But I think the size here will be the biggest difference. You know, with the straightaways, you know, we didn't have quite that long straightaways, you know, at Bristol and Knoxville compared to this. And then as far as just how sweeping the corner is, will be, to me, probably the biggest difference. But you know, I think the weight, to me at least, the weight and just the feel of the car is probably even greater. So it's nice to have some of that experience already in the bank.
Thanks a lot, man, and good luck today.
Yep, thank you, appreciate it.
Now, Buddy Kovoid, certainly one to watch today. Highly skilled at this style of racing, but he's not the only one in the field today who can get it done.
I'm excited to see how Buddy's going to do in his first ever stock car start on a mile dirt track. He's got a couple of drivers that have a ton of experience he's going to race against. I am going to keep my eye on Springfield's own Kelly Kofsky back behind the wheel of his family team car, and 2020, Ryan Unziger won this race, and he's back to defend that title from a couple years ago. So those two dirt ringers have something to say about it, I think.
Let's not forget about some of the regulars in the ARCA Menards series. Jesse Love's got quite a bit of dirt experience. Because qualifying was rained out today, they'll start by owner's points, and Jesse Love will start on the pole. Now, we're told by the race director they're expecting to get maybe 20 minutes of practice in before they're able to take the green flag. The approach is to start at 2:30 Central, 3:30 Eastern. We hope you'll be with us. It's going to be exciting as they sling the mud and flash some steel here at the Springfield Mile. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Illinois State Fairgrounds, home of the Springfield Mile. Certainly one of the most historic dirt tracks in all of the country, and this dirt track has been a little bit slick, a little bit muddy today. And that's because rain showers swept through the area all day yesterday, and intermittent showers today left it in really bad conditions earlier this morning. But we have seen some increase in temperatures and some wind that's helped dry out the racetrack. A remarkable job by the track crew to get it ready. Hello, everyone. I'm Mike Massaro, joined by Jim Trado, and well, after a little bit of weather, Jim, we're finally seeing the ARCA Menards Series cars on the track for a brief practice.
Very brief, but they're only going to get a 30-minute session. Earlier today, if everything went as scheduled, they're getting some laps now. Critical laps now because there's a big payday on the line.
Yeah, there is.
Starting this year, there's been a $50,000 award put up by Performance Seed for a driver who can win both this race on the dirt and the dirt mile at DuQuoin in 2 weeks' time. Sunday night of Labor Day weekend. If you win both, $50,000 is the bonus payday. And more importantly, for these drivers that are racing here today, they are now having their sights set on maybe the best average finish. That still pays $5,000 if you can't win them both.
Yeah, a lot of money up for grabs, and there's some ringers in the field today that kind of want to rain, pardon the expression, on the parade for some of these regulars who are trying to take home that dirt double.
Top 4 in
Quick
points.
sneak peek here. Practice. We've been waiting all day, Jim. The racetrack didn't look very good at 6:30 when transporters came in. It was very muddy, but a lot of work has been done, and they're finally getting on the track.
As expected, Daniel Dye taking his very first laps on any kind of dirt track. He's in the second now in the point standings. Our top 4 in points have yet to race on the dirt, so this is going to be an interesting test for them. So getting any additional time is going to be key for these young drivers. Will Kimmel, of course, the first guy out here on the track. We have sportsman cars around the track, but now it's time for the ARCA Menards Series teams to get a little grip and a handle on this racetrack before we go racing at 2:30 Central.
And you can see Daniel Dye taking it through the corner there. Gets a little bit sideways, dirt tracking it through the turns, but he's still learning as we take the track for the first couple of laps here. He told me he's going to try to follow some of the guys who are dirt track regulars just to try to get an idea of how they tackle this track.
Will Kimmel is the number 69 pulling in behind Daniel. Daniel also tried to climb in behind that white number 15 of Buddy Kofoid. So as they come off the track, another group will be let out on the racetrack. This is a very important session for some. Will Kimmel has always been that traditional first guy on the racetrack to hit it. A lot of eyeballs on him. Some teams actually waited to go out to see what Will did and felt. And now we see we have some debris on the racetrack here. This is the first time these cars have hit the racetrack today. After a very soupy morning, man, I'm glad to see we're racing in the sunshine.
The operative word there was soupy, Jim. When the transporters rolled in here about 6:30 this morning, it was difficult just getting them parked because the racetrack and the moisture in it just was mud, and you really couldn't drive through it in these big, heavy transporters. But the ARC officials did an amazing job. Teams all coordinated, and finally we're on the racetrack. A little bit delayed, and consequently we'll start because of owner points as opposed to qualifying, which was rained out earlier today.
Yeah, Tony Breidiger in the yellow number 25 Pit Viper Toyota. She's full-time this year. This will be her third dirt race after she ran both dirt races last year. Again, ARCA races on 2 dirt mile ovals here in Illinois, Springfield and DuQuoin traditionally. So she's got some time, but she also is overcoming some health issues that almost got her out of the car, kept her out of the car 2 days ago when we raced in Watkins, New York. So good to see Tony here again.
Fought through that adversity at a road course, which is not easy.
Oh, that's Ken Schrader,
yes,
number 11.
He's got some experience on the dirt.
Kenny's got 6 wins in the ARCA Menards Series on dirt ovals. Good to see Kenny back in one of Andy Hillenberg's cars.
Yeah, he's going to be fun to watch today. In his retirement, this is kind of what he's done, right? Run dirt tracks around the country, even in Canada, just to, wet that whistle, if you will, just to give him what he needs. He loves being a racer on dirt, and he's here to, give these regulars a run for their money, I think.
Yeah, Jesse Love will ride along with him. We see in his race car right now. Jesse has run a ton of dirt races, both wing and non-wing sprint cars. A ton of laps, including recently 2 races for Keith Kunz Motorsports and a dirt midget. So getting him on the dirt, not an issue, but the last couple of years, he's really been making a transition to pavement. He's only raced the Lucas Oil Chili Bowl the last couple of years, but he's got some track time this year, finally, in a dirt midget to get tuned up for this race and in 2 weeks' time at DuQuoin.
Yeah, not too long ago either at Peevely and at Macon. Getting that muscle memory back together. He's going to be tough to beat. He starts on the pole, and track position at this place is a big deal.
And Jesse's had a chance to race in an ARCA car, a lot heavier than what he's used to racing, where he can really kind of race that throttle. This car, man, you got to do a whole lot more to that. And a couple of drivers that are making their way on the track, a couple of adjustments here. This is our point leader, Nick Sanchez. His teammate, Rajah Caruth, getting out of the infield as well. Nick has taken over the point lead with that huge win at Michigan, backed it up by gapping the points by finishing second at Watkins Glen just 2 days ago. These teams were in upstate New York. They made the travel day yesterday to make it here to the Springfield Mile, and Nick is making his first laps in the dirt car in a long, long time. He said, I think Legends cars and maybe a go-kart like 5 and 6 years ago. So it's been a while for Nick.
A little different in a Legend car than it is in a big, heavy stock car like this on this racetrack. And not to mention how, these aren't exactly the conditions they were expecting when they wrote up the schedule. I mean, this is a little bit more moist.
I give Nick some credit. He's not waiting for somebody to follow. He's on the button. Let's see what he does here on the slower cars on the inside of turn 1. They're just coming out of the pits, and Nick is on the gas pedal. There we go. Yep. The Gainbridge Chevrolet makes their way around the 44 Buck Stevens. back for his second try on the dirt here in the ARCA Menards Series.
And Sanchez is completely unfazed by this challenge. Talked to him a little bit this morning, about this weekend, which is kind of a crazy weekend in itself. A road course just a couple of days ago, now a dirt track. The mindset, how you shift that mindset to dirt from road course is interesting. I would imagine it's a challenge, but Nick Sanchez has been unfazed by it, and he's just attacking this racetrack so far here in this practice.
Nick in his second full season, but he did not race either dirt race a year ago. Yeah, he finished up there in the points, but they elected not to race the dirt miles did Rev Racing a year ago. So this is Nick's literal first chance in a stock car on the dirt, and he's slinging it pretty good for us.
Yeah, he is. Here's a good view outside that car, in-car Camry, brought to you by Bounty.
That's the 18 of Sammy Smith. He's here for the first time in a dirt oval in the ARCA Menards Series. This is Sammy Smith's onboard. Man, is he impressive at Watkins Glen. Led 39 laps of the ARCA Menards Series race on Friday. Finished up third on Saturday in the Xfinity Series race, and he nearly found himself in a backup car there. Like, wow, he went high and won.
Talk about a busy weekend. Ran the ARCA race at Watkins Glen on Friday. Then he ran the Xfinity race at Watkins Glen on Saturday. He's here now. He got in about 10:30 last night, he told me. Hasn't had much sleep. He's just been racing. And oh, by the way, you go from a road course to a dirt track, and next week he's going to Daytona in an Xfinity car. So a whole lot of different styles of racing for Sammy Smith.
And Sammy getting a handle on this. I asked about his dirt preparation. He said, you know what? I just have to feel it. I've talked to Ken Schrader, but I really need to understand it myself. I didn't do a whole lot of studying on film. I want to feel this race car, and it's a really good piece that Mark McFarland's put underneath him. Car that finished second twice last year on the dirt with Ty Gibbs behind the wheel.
Yeah, so these are the final laps of practice as the ARCA Menards Series gets ready for the Atlas 100. Green flag expected at about 2:30 Central Time, 3:30 Eastern. These drivers dialing it in right now, trying to prepare themselves mentally and get their cars ready for 100 laps of action here at the Springfield Mile. We'll hope you'll join us.
We are green with the ARCA Menards Series in the land of Lincoln. A big melee in turn number 4.
Holmes is going around. Holy cow.
Incredible performance.
Dominating this race. I think a lot of people are surprised about how good this driver drove these 100 miles.
This one had plenty of drama, Jim.
Welcome, everybody, to the Illinois State Fairgrounds, home of the Springfield Mile. Certainly one of the most historic dirt tracks in all of the country. Right now, we've got some action in this Sportsman Car Series on the track right now, and some folks outside enjoying the Ferris wheel. It's turning out to be a rather nice day in the upper 70s, just a little bit of a breeze, but it was much different earlier this weekend. Lots of rain yesterday left this track in very muddy conditions early this morning, along with intermittent showers that have delayed the start of this race. Qualifying was also washed out. Hello, everyone. I'm Mike Massaro alongside Jim Trato. And Jim, this could be a very exciting twist to the schedule. They're coming off a Watkins Glen road course race just a couple of days ago. Now they've got to shift mentalities to a dirt track. How do they do that?
It's a lot of firsts for a lot of these young drivers. Or the first 4 drivers in points right now have never been on a dirt track and very few road course race experience until this weekend. It's a challenging weekend because it's a 14-hour drive for these teams between Watkins Glen International on Friday and here at the Springfield Mile on Sunday morning.
So exhausting for the teams. Drivers have to change their mentality from a road course to a dirt track. But the dirt track thing, well, that's going to be a regular thing the next few weeks. There's another one coming up in 2 weeks at DuQuoin, and with that, there's the Dirt Double Challenge. A lot of money on the line.
So Performance Seed has stepped in. These fans are ready to see who's going to win this one. If you win this race and in 2 weeks' time, the other dirt race on the schedule, it's a $50,000 bonus thanks to Performance Seed by winning both races. If a driver can't win both, the highest finisher, average finish, will get a $5,000 bonus from performance seeds. So these dirt races have taken on a special meaning this year.
Yeah, these drivers will certainly be digging. That's the operative word for sure as they race in the dirt here at Springfield and at DuQuoin in a couple of weeks. You know, one of the drivers to watch, certainly, and has been throughout the course of the summer, has been Taylor Gray. Taylor Gray has been remarkable. He has been on a stretch of, well, a lot of top fives that include a couple of victories already this year. In fact, his string of top fives was 5 races long until this past week at Watkins Glen. He finished 8th there, but it certainly looked for a very long time in Watkins Glen like that could be a top 5 as well. This is a driver who has a lot of momentum.
He won at Mid-Ohio. He won at Pocono, finished 3rd at Lucas Oil IRP. So getting a chance to race at Pocono was huge for him. Great run by him. The race was shortened, but in terms of racing, he's been red hot. He almost won the truck race at Lucas Oil IRP, and he finished 6th at Richmond in a truck since we saw him last on MAV TV.
And certainly had a shot at winning in Watkins Glen just a couple of days ago. Now, a driver that definitely is among the top contenders today is one of the best dirt track drivers in all of the country, Buddy Kovoid. And he is certainly a driver to watch, and he's one with, we caught up with a little bit earlier. Our third member of the broadcast team is Rob Klepper, and Rob spoke with Buddy.
It's been a very busy summer for the defending USAC National Midget Champion, Buddy Kofoid. 14 total wins this year. A big one at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Dirt Track. You won the BC 39 a couple weeks later. Put it in the show at the Knoxville Nationals. Won Rookie of the Race. And here we are at a 1-mile dirt track called Springfield, my friend, in the ARCA Menards series. How excited are you to be behind the wheel of this 15 and how this whole deal come together?
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to this. This is something that I'd hopefully love to get into pretty soon, and the stock car stuff has always been really fun to me. With running the truck races and then doing some late model stuff now has been really fun for me. And but yeah, with my involvement with Toyota and being a development driver for them, they have a lot of great unique opportunities and partners and teams like Venturini Motorsports and Mobile One, to where I can do stuff like this. So, I think my midget stuff has helped me open the door to get into some late model stuff, and then that's kind of helped me get in the door for some stuff like this. So hopefully today can be a good day, and hopefully maybe lead into more in the future. 2 truck starts this year, both on the dirt at Bristol and Knoxville, where you posted 11th place finish there on the half mile. The sprint car capital of the world, a place now you can almost call home after that great run at the Nationals. But how much do you think that's going to transfer over to the ARCA cars here on the big Springfield mile? I think as far as the feel, the weight, and probably the power, and as far as what it'll feel like being kind of sideways in the dirt, I think that'll be really similar. But I think the size here will be the biggest difference. With the straightaways, we didn't have quite that long straightaways, at Bristol and Knoxville compared to this. And then as far as just how sweeping the corner is, will be, to me, probably the biggest difference. But I think the weight, to me at least, the weight and just the feel of the car is probably even greater. So it's nice to have some of that experience already in the bank.
Thanks a lot, man, and good luck today.
Yep, thank you, appreciate it.
And Rob Klepper getting that interview for us earlier today. Now, Buddy Kofoid is in our rookie spotlight, Jim, but far from a rookie on this style of racetrack. Lots of guys here with much less experience than him.
He was hoping to get some laps in last night in the USAC Silver Crown race here at this racetrack, but it got postponed, and he ran 4th at the Lucas Oil Chili Bowl. He's made the main all 3 times he's attempted it. He raced with the powerhouse Keith Coons Motorsports, and at Knoxville, to make the A-main's a big deal. To win Rookie of the Year by finishing 11th there, that's huge. That's a short list. And this young driver is red hot. No matter what he touches, he won this week Tuesday in the high limit sprint car league that Kyle Larson put together. 22 grand already in the bank this week for him.
Big payday for him. And just to show you how much respect he's getting in the garage, earlier today I saw him surrounded by other drivers trying to pick his brain, trying to get an understanding of what he knows, hoping that maybe they'll let him in a little bit on the secret. But my guess is he was pretty tight-lipped.
And I imagine he's got Venturini teammates that wanted him first to talk about. This is one of his teammates, Jesse Love. He finished 5th and 10th last year on the dirt miles to the ARCA Menards series. This team, the number 20 team, he split some time this year with Corey Heim, and Jesse's in the car for the majority of the races, but they come in as the owner's points leader And we're setting this race on owner's points, Mike.
Yeah, and because of that, Jesse Love will be the guy on the point, and he does have some dirt track experience. Let's take a look at the point standings now after Watkins Glen. Watkins Glen kind of shook things up just a little bit as Nick Sanchez was able to come away with a second-place finish there and now has extended his lead to 11 points over Daniel Dye. Meanwhile, Raja Caruth fell a little bit. He's now 16 points back and 5 points behind Daniel Dye. Meanwhile, Greg Van Alst and Tony Breitinger rounding out the top 5. Let's check back in with Rob Klepper down in pit road.
Guys, when you come to the Springfield Mile, Will Kimmel always shows up for the dirt races. 12 starts here, a handful of top 5s were 6th here last year. You came off the track. I think you were the 3rd driver I talked to about practice, what the track was like, and you were the 3rd driver to tell me the same thing. I don't know what we're doing here, man. This is wild.
Yeah, it's just the front stretch looked really good from what I could see, but I had my hands full with the E3 Ford, man. It was super rough. We lost a little bit of time throughout practice, so we start 18th. We just got to be patient, run these 3 segments like 3 races, and we'll go get them at the end. Watch your back.
Now, you were talking, or excuse me, we were talking earlier today prior to practice, and here when you come to the dirt races, it's about keeping that nose clean, keeping these cars cool, trying to keep them from overheating. That's pretty difficult when you start deep in the field. What's going to be the plan to try and stay in some of that clean air?
Honestly, I ventured up to like the 3rd groove a couple times in practice, so I might see if there's something there early on. I don't really have a lot to lose. I don't think I'll lose a lap, so that might be something that we do. It's just really hard to tell at this point. The track's rough. Sargent did the best he could with what he had. We had a lot of rain, so it is what it is. Everybody's on the same deal, and we'll make some adjustments, keep the nose as clean as we can, and we'll go from there.
Thanks a lot, Will.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
What I loved about that is that Will was gracious enough to tell Rob to get out of the way, watching his back. A lot of information, though, he gave there, especially about the track conditions, how important clean air is at this place. Now, give you a little more insight as to what the Springfield Mile is going to demand from these drivers today. Well, its configuration is 1 mile in length. It's pretty fast dirt oval. The distance today, 100 laps. Otherwise, of course, 100 miles. And we have the scheduled breaks at laps 35 and laps 70. Teams will have 8 tires in the pits. And, of course, this is a combination race, ARCA Menards Series, and, part of the Dirt Double, which we've already talked a little bit about. $50,000 on the line if you can win this race and DeCoin in just a couple of weeks.
And the series is so diverse. There's actually 4 races set aside throughout the year. The CGS Imaging 4 Crown, 4 different disciplines. If you win that title, it's a prestigious deal. Davey Allison won that in 1984, and there's been others since. But looking at this race, it's the Dirt Oval represented on the 4 Crown, 4 races within the series. We also had Watkins Glen. We also have Charlotte Motor Speedway, and we're coming up on Salem Speedway to represent the short track. So you get the idea of how diverse things are, much less 2 big differences on one weekend here this weekend.
Yeah, it's just amazing how these drivers and these teams have had to adjust going from a road course to a dirt track. Just a completely different discipline, only 48 hours apart. So you've got to make that adjustment rather quick.
And we did have a practice session earlier today, but we did not have a chance to qualify these cars. So these teams are making adjustments now. We said owners' points will determine the starting lineup. So we see Tony Breitinger, yellow number 25, rolling out of the racetrack. A lot of teams that put in full-time effort this year, they get to start up near the front. Not all the teams that are dirt ringers will have that advantage.
Well, you might call this next guy a dirt ringer, if you will. He spent quite a bit of time on dirt. We're talking about Ken Schrader, who's with Rob Klepper.
Yeah, guys, always cool to see Kenny Schrader here out the racetrack. 1990, my friend, the first time you got a win with the ARCA Menards Series was on a half-mile dirt oval, Hagerstown, Maryland. This place a little bit different. Track's a little tacky here today. How good is this car, and how are we liking our chances, Ken?
Well, let me get back with you. Track's a lot different than we practiced. They did a great job even getting it where we were able to run today. So we're 3rd quick in the short practice we had, and it'll be a lot different now. Let's see what we got. Gonna have to finish the thing first.
You're no stranger to doing double duty here. What was the sportsman cars like, and did you learn anything there in that race before you jumped in the ARCA car?
Yeah, I learned it's easy to knock the nose off.
There you go, guys. A lot of drivers back here keeping an eye, a lot of crew chiefs, I should say, keeping an eye on that front nose. Don't want to knock it off. I know Jesse Love, possibly the 15 car as well, had some issues there in that practice. We saw a right rear blow on the 43, a lot of aesthetic damage, if you will. They're still working on the Daniel Dye number 43, and remember, he's in this tight points chase.
You know, it's interesting. He said he learned that it's real easy to knock the front off. Well, that's no small lesson. I mean, you need to know how to take care of your equipment in this race.
And the teams themselves are dedicated to knowing what they can on the race cars. And notice the front nose on this number 11. That's Schrader's Ride, the Double H Ranch on there that Ed Pompa brought to the Andy Hillenberg teams, helping out kids that are underserved. They've got a chance to go to a camp for free. It's awesome. But this nose piece, that's everything. What are you going to do to keep that mud from getting in the radiator to overheat these things?
Well, there's going to be plenty of mud being slung around this racetrack today, and these drivers will be flashing some steel and flexing some muscle as well. And, well, the kids, before the race starts, will be riding the rides. But the ultimate thrill ride today will be on the Springfield Mile. 100 laps of action here. It's about to get underway. Don't go away anytime soon, folks. We'll be right back.
This MAV TV Motorsports Network broadcast is brought to you by General Tire. For whatever you do, General Tire delivers. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper. And by Menards. Save big money at Menards.
Well, we are just moments away from the command to start engines, and when that happens and the green flag flies, this is the man who will bring the field to the stripe. Jesse Love, by virtue of owner's points, is on the pole today. Qualifying, of course, rained out earlier, but Jesse Love is the man who will pace the field here early on, Jim, and he's going to be tough to beat when he's out front in clean air.
Yeah, the advantage of winning the General Tire Pole Award comes to the owner's points. He and Corey Heim have split the ride. Corey's the only driver of the two that has won a race this year, though, at Daytona to start the season, but they've had some really consistent runs, and Jesse is on a roll right now, but I know the pressure's building to win a race. It took till September of last year to win his first ARCA Menards Series race, so this is a great starting spot for a General Tire Pole Award winner here today.
And there's no question he's shown the ability throughout the course of the season that he can get it done and get to victory lane. Starts on the pole in the car that won here just 1 year ago. Don't go away, folks. When we return, we'll see the green flag here in the Atlas 100 at the Springfield Mile, one of the most historic dirt tracks in all of the country. You will not want to miss it. Lots of ringers and regulars looking for the victory. What a festive environment here at the Illinois State Fair. You can get your lemonade, your fresh-made donuts. You can even ride on the Ferris wheel, but that's not the thrill ride people are here to see. Nope. They're here to see the ARCA Menards Series on the Springfield Mile. Lots of dirt going to be slung around. Going to be even more action than that. Some ups and some downs, and, well, somebody's going to be flying a little bit higher than this gondola when the thing's all over and said and done. Cars are now on the track for their pace laps. Let's take a look at how things will shake out when the green flag flies. Jesse Love starts on the pole. He'll be flanked by Nick Sanchez on row number 1.
Great run for Sammy Smith over the weekend on a road course. It's his first trip here to a dirt oval. He'll start inside row number 2, and Daniel Dye, man, he's up there in the points, but he's also going to have wide eyes in his first dirt start here in row 2 outside.
And back to row number 3. The man is trying to rebound from a little bit of a lackluster Watkins Glen race, but he is optimistic he can get it done. That's Raja Caruth alongside one of the most skilled dirt track drivers in the field, Buddy Kofoid.
Greg Van Alst, Tony Brodinger, top 5 in points, but also very young to dirt. Greg Van Alst's first start. Tony's just got last year's experience.
And we move back now to row number 5. A veteran of dirt track racing, to say the least. Ken Schrader starting on the inside, outside row. Well, that's Amber Balkin, who's been through a bit of a tough stretch lately, trying to put that behind her.
Hey, Tim Monroe's got a great shot here for Andy Hillenberg back there in row 6, starting 12. In that 10 car, 2 top 10 finishes on the dirt 1 year ago for the guy who put so much effort in the shop. Getting a shot to race here at Springfield for Andy and the team.
Starting 13th in row number 7, Alex Clubb. On the outside of that row, a man inching closer to his 400th career start, Brad Smith.
This is the last 5 starters. Taylor Gray, Will Kimmel, Ryan Unsicker, and Kelly Kofsky. Man, these guys got a ton of experience. Taylor Gray, 2 top 5s last year on the dirt. It's going to be fun to watch them come forward.
And if there's one downside by starting qualifying by owner points, is that we see some of those talented drivers making their way from the back of the field. Now let's go trackside for one quick last-minute report from Rob Kleber.
Well, thanks a lot, guys. One driver to watch here in this race here today is Daniel Dye. We've been talking about the top 3 only separated by 9 points, but Dye, one of those drivers, first time here at Springfield Mile, first time on the dirt. In fact, he told me, I don't know if I've ever been to a dirt track. It's possible that I may have walked across the dirt at Volusia Speedway Park there in Florida, he said, so I have my work cut out for me here today. I do not know what to expect, but I'm going to watch some of the veterans try and learn the limits of this race car. They had some issues in practice, popped the right rear tire, did a lot of aesthetic damage to the right rear quarter panel. Crew was working hard down here to get it ready to rock. They got it fixed and got him out, so he's going to be one to watch here today, guys.
All right, Rob, thank you. He's got his work cut out for him, having to start back there after the practice he had, Jim.
Going to check in quick in the MAV TV booth with Ryan Unziger. Ryan, you're slated to start 20th. You know how to win here. How about these early laps starting as far back in the 24?
We got our work cut off for us here, definitely for sure. Starting this far back. Track's a little choppy, but the Cedar Motorsports team, we're going to do the best we can here.
We wish you well, sir. Thank you.
Going green this time by, green this time by.
Let's take a quick look at our onboard cameras. Our Bounty onboard camera with the 18, a Sammy Smith. He'll give us a good view. Expected to be up toward the front, battling for the checkers today. No question about that. Our General Tire on board, Jesse Love, our pole sitter, will be carrying that. He's going to give us a clean view here when we see the green flag. We're looking forward to that as well. Green flag is out, and Jesse Love is on the gas. Nick Sanchez to the outside. They're door-to-door headed down into turn 1. Jesse Love has the advantage, but not by much. Only about a car length. Now he rides that lower groove, stretches it out. He's got a 3-car length lead on the back straightaway.
And Nick Sanchez trying to get a grasp on the outer line in that white number 2. It's his first ever dirt race. So getting the handle on it, going down the backstretch. He has his hands full with Sammy Smith streaking by the inside in that black 18. And teammates touch there. The 6 of Rajah Caruth almost took out his teammate Nick Sanchez.
Yeah. A little bit of friction, a little bit of contact there. Nick Sanchez able to correct things, though. Sammy Smith, though, on the run toward the front. Didn't waste any time taking advantage of the bobble and making his way up to second.
That's the number 15 of Buddy Kofoid. Look how true he is in the corner while others negotiate their first time at speed on the racetrack. That's the number 6 of Rajah Caruth hanging it out right behind him.
It's going to be interesting to see how long it takes for Kofoid to get to the front. He is a talented dirt track racer in a very good piece of equipment. Looking to the bottom of the racetrack there underneath Caruth. Caruth up top. Slings it around the corner, gets a bit sideways. Kofoid able to take advantage. He's got it glued to the bottom rail.
Rajah Caruth is holding his own on the outside. I thought by now he'd lose a couple of spots, but he's hanging out on the outside of Buddy Kofoid, going for position on the dirt track specialist. Here comes Rajah Caruth in the first time in the dirt, just getting up way above what would be the cushion right now.
His teammate just in front of him on the outside groove. That's Nick Sanchez in the 2 car. You can see a little bit of a bobble there. These drivers were telling me earlier, Jim, they really want to keep the car as straight as possible. It doesn't drive like a typical dirt track.
And what they have to do is get up and run it, because we talked about those cars at the back of the field. Taylor Gray is already up to 7th, so they know the time is short for them to move forward here. This is Daniel Dye in the Race to Stop Suicide onboard camera. Seeing how he can run, it's his first time here. We heard from Rob Klepper about how that goes. He's still sitting in 6th, but I expect him to have some company here shortly from Taylor Gray.
And you can already see through that view how much mud is getting on the windshield. And it's only early on here. We're only a few laps into this race, and the dirt is kicking up pretty good here. Big cloud of smoke as these drivers make their way through. Meanwhile, it's still Jesse Love out front.
Whoa, Dye just got in the soup in turn 3 and came right up the racetrack, right into Taylor Gray.
And Daniel Dye off the pace.
Dye got up into Taylor Gray. Might have jumped out of gear there momentarily. Big moment there for Dye. Came in 2nd in the points here.
Here's a look at what happened between him and Nick Sanchez here. Dye down low, slides up the racetrack and body slams Sanchez. Taylor Gray also involved. Good evasive action there. Looks like he avoided it.
He got into Sanchez, and that's the first time Sanchez has been side slapped on a dirt track, so he recovered nicely as well in that 2 car.
And it looks like Daniel Dye may be back up to speed at this point in time. Looking out the Race to Stop Suicide onboard camera on the 43 car of Daniel Dye. It looks like he's back up to speed, Jim.
Lost a couple of spots. Dallas Frew heading to pit road for a couple of adjustments. I wouldn't doubt if some of these teams are already seeing the temperature gauge rise. We saw the nose on these cars, different configurations to keep the dirt out of it. Well, guess what? We are now full song, and those noses are getting mighty caked with mud, so it's a matter of how to keep that clean air coming in and not mud clogging up to cause overheating issues.
And it's interesting to see how they're attacking this racetrack right now. When they drew up the schedule, they weren't expecting it to be quite as tacky. Lots of rain came through here today, and yesterday, I should say. Left this track in really bad condition this morning. Big shout out to the track crew who got it ready for today's race. Let's check back in with Rob Klepper.
About the Track Enterprises crew, guys, for sure. Bob Sargent, everyone here at the Springfield Mile doing a great job. The 01, you mentioned Dallas Frew out of Aurora, Illinois. 4th career start today. He pulled in, like you mentioned, a lot of mud on the front end of that car, as well as the number 48 of Brad Smith, making his 399th career ARCA start. Already 2, maybe now 3, possibly 4 cars making their way here into the pits.
And caution on the racetrack. You can see Amber Balkin involved. This is the last thing she wanted to see. She's gone through a very difficult stretch, especially after what happened at Watkins Glen just a couple of days ago. She took a hard hit there and was trying to turn things around. This will not be the day it happens. Tony Breidinger also involved.
I saw Tony coming to pit road. That nose looked like it was really disconfigured on the bottom. The bottom valance might have been chopped off of there. These two female racers are racing full-time this season, currently 5th and 6th in the points. Every point matters as we're now heading in. This is the 14th race of the season. It's a big deal to get as many points among themselves as well as staying in the top 5 in the hunt for the championship, with Greg Van Alst making his debut here on the dirt, trying to pick out the mud. You see that Mark Rett's got experience here. Parker Kligman won here with the similar configuration on the nose that Amber has here today. But looking at how things are caked in there early, big trouble for these drivers running full time in Amber's first trip here.
Yeah, so as we mentioned, a very tough stretch for Amber Balkin. And it started earlier this weekend at Watkins Glen. Let's take a look at exactly what we're talking about here. Amber was having a pretty decent run throughout the course of the day. You can see here that, well, the class of field. Let's go back to what actually transpired at Watkins Glen. You know, Sammy Smith, Taylor Gray, they were battling for the win most of the day.
That was the last
lap restart. That's right. And you saw Taylor Gray wash up into Sammy Smith.
Might have got some help from Brandon Jones from behind to get him out in that corner so wonky. He and Sammy Smith talked it out after. That's what their summation was. Sammy told me it might have been Brandon Jones making the effort, but guess what? Brandon Jones crossed the line first for the Watkins Glen racetrack.
Yeah, and we look back now at Amber Balkin, what we were talking about, her crash. She hit really hard at Watkins Glen. And she came out of it very frustrated, you could tell. The stretch of races she's gone through recently has not been what she was looking for, and this will not help. Let's check in with Rob.
Well, guys, we saw Amber Balkin come here into the hot pit area, was spitting out a lot of fluid, so obviously overheating for that number 30 car, as she will make her way back out into the racetrack. They had the hood up, got the fluid figured out, put the hood back down, but I was very excited to see her at this racetrack. Of course, she's run wing sprint cars, was Rookie of the Year with the Northern Outlaw Sprint Association. She's run the Chili Bowl. She's at 16 years old, ran a lightning sprint, became the first female to win at the Dirt Track Racing Championship in Manitoba, Canada. So I was pretty excited to see how she would do here at the Springfield Mile once again, but just trouble early, going to put her deep in the field.
Hasn't finished 18th or better in the last 14th races, so not a good stretch for Amber Balkin at this point.
Dedicated, took her 9 years of working towards this with Icon, a Canadian-based company that does a lot of great additions to motorhomes to keep the cooling, keep things mounted properly on their machines, and she got that sponsorship this year with a Canadian co-owner in Terry Jones, really making an effort here. Full season for Amber, and it's been a rough ride. She's looking to turn that around here. Maybe it'll come next week at Milwaukee in the Sprecher 150 on Sunday afternoon.
Taking a look now at Ken Schrader. Just ran the Sportsman race. Took a little bit of knowledge from there.
Got something missing on the right front.
A little bit of a wrinkle. Something tells me, though, he can overcome that.
So that could be from a number of things. Could be hitting the mud clod, could be just be hitting the racetrack, but the right front is gone on Schrader's number 11.
Now, remember what Schrader told us before the race began. He said, it's really easy to knock the front end off.
He's right. He's right.
He's
really good. He's not even
and proving it.
Factoid. He's better than a weatherman telling you what's going to happen.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how he rebounds from that.
Daniel Dye is pitted under this caution as well. It's like a lot of dirt, as has Will Kimmel. Both clean noses now. They might have had an issue to bring them to pit road.
All right, so we're about 9 laps into this race, Jim. What are your keys for the rest of the race?
Well, we're under caution here, so I'm telling you, it's more important now to talk about this than at the start of the race, because these teams now know what they have. But the drive off the corner, you don't want to slip the tires. You don't want to even slip the car. We saw how dusty the track is getting now. That track is drying off, so your drive off is key. Get the pedal down, not wiggle. Also, these restarts, you're going to see how important it is to get to turn 1 cleanly. The bottom line's preferred, but you need a clean restart here at Springfield. And we talked about 2 race breaks, lap 35 and lap 70. Yes, you get new general tires, but what are you going to do for those last 30 laps? It's a 30-mile run to the finish. It's a long time around this mile racetrack. So that second pit stop at lap 70, what do you want to adjust on the race car? It's so important to get that right. We saw some races won and lost the last couple of years on dirt by late race charges on cars that saved something to the end.
Well, we'll be checking with Rob Klepper on that to see exactly what happens on that second brake adjustment period. But for the time being, we're 10 laps in. What are they telling you now, Rob?
Well, for the 25, Tony Breidinger, the young lady out of California, was sick, unable to run Watkins Glen. A lot better here today at Springfield, but unfortunately in the pits now, she said the power steering pump broke in half. Crew is going to try and get that fixed and send Breidinger back out onto the racetrack. We also saw Daniel Dye come in. They made adjustments on the rear of that race car, both on the left and the right rear, and then Will Kimmel came in as well. Crew told me she's already running hot.
Yeah, tough break for Tony, as well as it was for Amber. Getting close to go back to green flag racing. Jesse Love still out front. He started on the point by virtue of starting by owner's points. In case you missed it, qualifying was rained out earlier. We were in a delay. We didn't start until about 2:45 Central Time. These teams got about 30 minutes of practice to get ready. At one point early this morning, though, this track was very soupy, but it's come way around. It's very racy right now. Let's take a look at some of the General Tire track info now. Here's a look at what the Springfield mile is. Of course, it is a mile dirt track. Banking, well, virtually none of it, Jim. It's practically flat.
A little bit in the corner, and the grader probably helped the bottom get a little bit more of a bank, but it's really gushy down on the bottom right now.
You know, you see this next graphic. You see the dates on there, 1910. Well, that's quite a bit of history for this racetrack.
And when Dean Roper showed up at a dirt mile, you knew you were in trouble because he was really good. Dean won that first ARCA sanctioned race here in 1983. It goes back to the Alan Crow Memorial Race, 1974 for stock cars here on the Springfield Mile.
Well, Frank Kimmel's won here 8 times, and there's a Kimmel in the field today.
And Frank Kimmel's here working the jack on Taylor Gray's car. He's one of the chief wrenches for DGR. So great to see Frank, the 8-timer. He was in a conference all the time when he wasn't working on that race car. Everybody came over to see what he had insights on to make them better.
I suppose if you're looking to learn something, it's not bad to tap into the knowledge of an 8-time winner here. Let's check back in before we go green with Rob Klepper.
Well, you know, guys, as Tony Breidinger makes her way back out onto the racetrack, talking about the Illinois State Fairgrounds Springfield Mile, it currently holds, I believe, no less than 6 one-lap world records for 4-wheel race cars, including the fastest lap ever turned on a 1-mile dirt track, 24.719. That's 145 plus miles per hour by Sammy Swindell in the World of Outlaw Sprint Car event here June 7th, 1998. That's flat out flying on the dirt.
Yeah. It's a fast 1-mile dirt track, that is for sure. Leaves a lot of opportunity for some sweet moves, that's for sure. And of course, like always, we look for the Reese's sweet move of the race, and we'll give you an opportunity to vote on that. We'll post it on Twitter, of course, and on social media, so you can take a look and weigh in on what you think is the Reese's sweet move of the race. And well, so far, I think we've seen some candidates, perhaps. Sammy Smith making his way toward the front early. Buddy Kofoid wasting no time at all, getting toward the front, but I think there's going to be quite a few more left before this one's over with.
Wait about 20 seconds. I think we'll have our first vote will happen here on this restart, Mike.
Yeah, restarts are something to watch for. So they pair up. Double wide, Jesse Love on the inside, Buddy Kofoid on the outside. Jesse Love leads him to the green. Sammy Smith following in his tire tracks. They get down toward the bottom groove in turns 1 and off of turn number 2. Kofoid drawing even with Sammy Smith and past him as he heads to the back straightaway.
Great run. We're on board with Sammy Smith. He can see through that windscreen, but again, that dirt is now starting to dry off on the racetrack, trying to settle in here. Restarted this race, not in the front row, but he's got a good run here, going in third right now behind the first 2 cars through turns 3 and 4.
And what about those restarts for Jesse Love, Jim? Absolutely flawless. Just getting up to the gearbox, getting down into that corner, and just leaving the field behind him.
It's all about clean air, really, even on a dirt track. Getting the opportunity to pick your line. You're not having to chase anybody else. You've got a spotter in the stand to give you the gap. We saw in the initial start, Jesse Love getting a really nice sized lead. You mentioned how straight these cars need to be off the corner. Jesse's car is really smooth and straight off of turns 4 and 2 here right now. So it's good to see how he's able just to kind of settle in.
He's definitely doing that for the time being. The field starting to spread out a little bit as well, about 2 or 3 car lengths between each car. Single file for the most part throughout the course of the field. The track is changing as well. At the beginning of this race, you could tell that it was still a little bit moist, very slick. Saw a lot of sheen on it, and now it's a little bit more dry.
Right in the wheelhouse of Ryan Unziger. We talked to him just before we went to the green flag. The right front nose piece on his Toyota has been knocked in, the RJR Transportation 24. But he is flying right now up through the top 5.
You know, speaking with Ryan before the race, Jim, he was a little disappointed that the grid would be started by owner's points, because that meant he had to start toward the back. Didn't have the track position he was looking for, but at the same time, if you're a fan of watching this style of racing, you've got to applaud what's going on, because Ryan Unziger can put on a show from the back of the field, and that's what he's doing right now, all the way up to third.
Side by side behind him, the 2 drivers that decided the outcome at Watkins Glen 2 days ago. It was Sammy Smith leading on the last lap. Taylor Gray got to his inside on the last lap of the race. Both cars went wide. Brandon Jones went on to win. Taylor Gray ended up back in 8th. Right now, I don't think Taylor's thinking about payback. He's thinking about settling in himself, because he's had 2 dirt races to 0. Oh, spinning sideways, Unziger. Holy cow. Running third, Unziger, the dirt specialist, has spun it around.
Surprising indeed. Yellow flag is out. Caution on the racetrack for Unziger. You can see the 24 car wedged up against the inside rail. Didn't expect that. He was running third at the time. Meanwhile, take a look at your top 5. Jesse Love out front. Buddy Kofoid challenging from the second spot. Don't go away. More racing from the Springfield Mile.
We are green with the ARCA Menards series in the land of Lincoln.
Michael, South Point contender, got involved as he was running 4th or 5th behind what was a spinning Ty Gibbs.
Brett Holmes, the point leader, spins at Springfield, and Michael Self goes along with him.
Ryan Unziger from the pole never did it wrong. He never got the wheel wrong, never got a jump on the restart on him. He was perfect today.
Welcome back to the Illinois State Fairgrounds here, Springfield Mile. We're about 19 laps into a 100-lap event, the Atlas 100, and so far Jesse Love has been the class of the field, but we're under caution now. Ryan Unziger, who was running well inside the top 5, brought out the caution just moments ago. Here's a look at what transpired. He was running really well, coming through the corner, and then just lost it, Jim.
It was not a handling issue. He reported on the Race Electronics radio I get a chance to listen in on and talk to the drivers. He said, I lost my brakes. The brakes went out on the car, so as he was trying to maneuver the brake and slow down for the corner, either the brake seized or he just decided to get it sideways to slow the car down because he had no other way. The pedal wasn't working the way he wanted.
And it was just as he had made his way. He started at the 24th starting position, made his all the way up into the top 3. Looked like he was going to contend for the lead at some point soon, and then that transpired. Now he gets to go back to the back of the field, toward the back of the field. It'll be interesting to see if that brake gremlin pops its head back up or if he can make his way back to the front.
Considering Sammy Smith and Taylor Gray were racing side by side behind him, what do you do when you see something in the road ahead of you sideways? You jump on the brakes. They gassed it and got around him. That was a really sweet move by both of those young drivers.
Perhaps a nominee for the Reese's Sweet Move of the race.
Sounds like a tasty choice right now.
Who knows? There's lots of nominees out there for sure. We'll get to those in just a few moments. Meanwhile, track workers out there getting the track prepared to go back to green flag racing. Buddy Kofoid. Now, we are expecting him to challenge for the win. Hasn't gotten real close to the rear bumper of Jesse Love just yet.
So the A, they're teammates. B, I think Buddy Kofoid knows exactly what he wants to do. He ran 57 57 national midget races last year. between USAC and POWRi. This year he has 8 wins in the USAC midgets, 2 in the POWRi in 3 races. He ran last night at Macon. He knows exactly what he wants to feel in that race car. He nearly won his first and only Silver Crown start at Terre Haute. So in terms of being patient, I think Jesse's showing a lot of speed, but I think Buddy Kofoid is showing some patience in that Mobil 1 Toyota.
And we're getting the indication that there is 1 lap to go before we return to green. We look at row number 2 as well, and the 17 of Taylor Gray alongside the 18 of Sammy Smith. Those drivers just 48 hours ago were dicing it up in Watkins Glen. It looks like they're going to be going back at it real soon here.
One thing to note as well, only the race restart leader has choice on lane. The number 20 of Jesse Love has chosen the outside. Sammy Smith was on the outside with Taylor Gray pouring down on him just a few laps ago under green. So now they swap spots on the inside and outside. So we'll see how they shake it. And wouldn't you know, our point leaders, first and third in the points, Rev Racing teammates, they're still in the top 6 in row 3 together. Nice job by those first timers on the dirt.
You know, and they both told me that they need to be careful weighing how aggressive they can be with keeping in mind the big picture. This is an interesting spot in the schedule. Road course earlier this weekend, dirt track today, so lots of things can happen. They just need to keep things clean if they want to keep their eyes on the prize, and that, of course, is the championship. Field now coming off of turn number 4, double wide. Kofoid on the bottom. Your leader, Jesse Love, electing to take the outside groove. He's been flawless on restarts so far. Let's see how he is here.
Could it be another Reese's Sweet move? Jesse Love on the button. For the second time, he's gapped Buddy Kofoid on the initial start and got his way to the bottom.
Keeping it glued to the bottom of the racetrack. That's where Jesse Love is now.
Taylor Gray's in the mix now in that black 17. He started outside row 2, so he's got to make the outside work. A lot of nose dings already on these cars. The 15, that was actually taped up from practice to start this race, and that number 15 running second. Big chunk of black tape on the right front headlight of that one. And Taylor Gray right behind him now. Can't stay behind him for too long. There's still some moisture on the racetrack. Bringing up that mud to the grill area is still something to worry about.
Saw a little offset kick there off the corner, but for the most part, Taylor Gray, looks like he just closed the gap there on Kofoid. Sliding it through the corner once again, trying to inch closer to that rear deck. Meanwhile, Jesse Love out front, he's got maybe a 3-car length advantage at this point.
And Jesse's just really doing a nice job. Not only is it important for him to win for a lot of reasons, but this team has been solid all year long. Shannon Rush has put together every effort to get this car where it should be. Corey Heim won at Daytona. Jesse Love is coming off a 3rd place finish at the road course at Watkins Glen. That got him into second. This team into the point lead that they needed because we started this race on points. So it's all forming together here. But Jesse on the dirt, yeah, it's a big deal for him to run well, and he's led every lap thus far.
Again, taking a look at the battle for second. Buddy Kofoid holding off the pressure right now from Taylor Gray. Of course, Buddy Kofoid is our bounty rookie of the race. We've spotlighted him. Although, as much as he is a rookie in the ARCA Menards series, he is a veteran when it comes to dirt racing.
Yeah, I mentioned how many races he's run lately. He's run 90 USAC midget races.
That's a few.
Yeah, won a bunch of them. And getting experience and getting comfortable, he talks about the exposure and the fortunate position he's in. If you're in a car running dirt 3-4 times a week like he is right now, wing or non-wing, sprint car, midget, man, that just comes as a natural feel. It's such a different adaptation for him versus others making their first ARCA start.
No question. And we saw earlier in the day lots of drivers just clinging to him like magnets, trying to draw some information from him about this racetrack, in particular his teammates.
Taylor Gray is running behind him. We see that number 17 Ford Performance Mission 22 Mustang get a little sideways here. But keep in mind, he and the 18 of Sammy Smith, they look to be a little more loose on entry, so they've got to drive through the corner, more of a traditional drift you'd expect on a dirt track. Jesse Love and Buddy Kofoid are not up in the dirt. They're on the bottom of the racetrack in the cleaner area of the racetrack. It's cleaned off, and you can see them gapping now as Sammy Smith and Taylor Gray both are trying to find their way through turns 1 and 3 at a lower angle. They just can't seem to get down there low enough.
You can start to see the dust beginning to build. How about Sammy Smith and the busy weekend he's had? Watkins Glen raced the ARCA Series on Friday, the Xfinity Series on Saturday. Now he's here on dirt on Sunday, just busy, busy, busy.
And these are teammates that were hoping just to survive. I talked to the number 6 driver, Raja Karuth, on Friday. He said, I just need to experience this. I'm prepared. I've done some laps at Millbridge in a micro sprint. That's a little racetrack in North Carolina. Nothing like this big flat mile. And right now he's got his hands full with another dirt ringer coming forward. He was laying back early, but here comes hometown hero Kelly Kofsky and the Brant number 16.
That's the battle for 5th, and give it to Kofsky, who slides underneath Raja Karuth and picks up the position. It was a good battle going on as Karuth was trying to maintain, but as we mentioned, Karuth, one of the championship contenders, doesn't want to do anything that may put him in jeopardy of having a poor finish and perhaps losing points that could cost him the title ultimately.
And Raja is really doing something smart here. He let Kelly go, I think, a little bit, but really he's in the learning mode. This is his 30th ARCA dirt start, with Raja making his very first behind him.
All right, taking a quick look there at Ryan Unzicker. Unzicker just passed Nick Sanchez. Sanchez started on the outside pole. Unzicker, if you were with us just a few moments ago, you saw he brought out the caution after having a brake issue and spinning off the corner. Well, it seems like he's rallied back a little bit. He's now inside the top 10, running 7th.
And look at him chase down the number 6 of Raja Karuth down the front stretch here. It's a long run to turn 1. Again, Ryan's excelled. He's the 2011 UMP Dirt Late Model National Champion. This year, he's been tearing it up in the Mars Late Models. This past week, I think it was Monday night, he finished 2nd. He led all but the last 2 corners at Shady Hill to win the Mars Dirt Late Model race. He finished 2nd there, so I think a little bit of hunger lingers here in what will be the final drive for Ryan Unzicker at Springfield with a car owned by Bill Hendren, a local businessman who's been here for 48 years.
That's right. Bill's tenure here at the Springfield Mile goes back to the 1970s.
Yeah.
I mean, early on. I mean, he has quite a bit of experience. Meanwhile, Ryan Unzicker says he wants to continue racing and racing in this series at Springfield even after his car owner retires.
I'd like to know what Daniel Dye is thinking right now. Does he ever want to race dirt again? You know, he has one more race. But looking at how he is on this Race to Stop Suicide Chevrolet camera, watching him go through the corner, he's almost arcing it twice to get that rear to rotate. He's trying to get the handle on this racetrack still, 30 laps in to this 100 lapper.
So, real interesting story about Daniel Dye. He's never raced on dirt, but he told me to prepare for this. Guess what he did, Jim?
I give up. What?
He went out with his crew chief, Chad Bryant, this week in a golf cart on wet grass. And Chad Bryant taught him how to maneuver through the corners on wet grass, just trying to get him an understanding of the steering and how to brake and how to adjust when the car's not at the attitude you want. But that's how we learn, a golf cart on wet grass. Hey, you do what you can do. Some guys go to iRacing, other guys go to wet grass on a golf cart.
I know what it feels like to hit the brakes hard on a golf cart. It really doesn't go anywhere but straight ahead, so that's kind of a cool tool if you get a chance to. I'm not saying you should, but it was a nice tool that Chad put forth with Daniel.
You do what you can do to learn as much as you can in a short period of time. Looking at Nick Sanchez now. Sanchez dropping back to 9th. He started 2nd.
I asked about his goals at Watkins Glen at the dirt race here. He said, you know what? I need to run as straight as I can, and I need to finish. He didn't give me a finished position. He said, I need to finish that race. Knowing what's at hand and how good he ran at Watkins Glen, finishing 2nd and keeping that point lead, getting out of here with a finish is important for him.
And he was thrilled with that 2nd place finish. Told me he thought he maybe had a 4th, maybe a 5th place car at Watkins Glen earlier this weekend.
Tony Breidinger, the Pit Viper Toyota, to the pit road. We saw the right front of the nose knocked off. We see a whole lot of smoke coming out the back of that number 25 Camry.
All right, so there are 33 laps in the books. We're closing in on the first race break, which is scheduled right around lap 35. Could be coming soon.
Yeah, this is not exactly what Tony needs right now, but that power steering issue obviously has reared its ugly head once again. That smoke could have been from overheating or the power steering. They're going to reach for the jack. I'm surprised they don't have the cooling hoses up there as well just yet, but getting things worked out. Again, Tony's in her first full season in the ARCA Menards Series, but did race last year in both of our dirt races here on the schedule.
There are 34 laps in the books. Jesse Love still leading the field. He's been out front the entire time. Only time he's been challenged has been on the restart so far, but lots of racing remaining, and the first race break coming up on us pretty quick. You can see Jesse Love enjoying that clean air out front. He has, I would say, maybe a 10-car length lead, maybe more, over the field.
His spotter's giving him intervals. Also, Buddy Kofoid running behind him in 2nd is getting intervals as well. It's been settling down a bit between 1st to 2nd and the gap back to 3rd. So for these drivers getting these laps in, they're talking right now to their crew chief. Hey, we know there's a race break coming up. What do you want on that race car? They're feeling this out because if you multiply this portion of the race, these cars are used up 30 laps in. Guess what? Our last race break happens 30 laps from the end of the race. So the feel right now is important to know if this is what they want or they want to change the handling here. They got 2 cracks at it on pit road today at least.
And I would imagine there's going to be significant changes because there was a lack of practice. Now, they got about 30 minutes of practice, but that's not a lot of practice. These first 35 laps or so really has been the most track time they've gotten.
And that was a completely different racetrack. Learning how to drive in the soup is one thing, but now you're racing around lap cars on the bottom. There's still a lot of moisture down there, and if you want to run the outside, how high is too high? There's a lot of learning going on here in this first portion of the race. As the track dries out, that's why I see a little bit of that dust in the air. There's a lot of grip in this racetrack yet, but as it dries out, that changes the handling on the race car and the conditions, how deep you drive in the corner, how much brake to use on entry, all that stuff.
And the yellow flag is out. The first race break is upon us. These drivers are getting prepared to head down into the infield to make some adjustments. It's going to be interesting to see what changes and how that may change the dynamic of this race in the closing laps. Don't go away, folks. We still got much more to come here from the Springfield Mile. Jesse Love, your leader so far. Back at the Springfield Mile, one of the races in the Four Crown. Of course, the Charlotte Motor Speedway is the other. Brandon Jones was the winner there. The Four Crown is made up of, well, a big track, an intermediate, a mile and a half like Charlotte, a road course like Watkins Glen. Brandon Jones also the winner there. Won the first 2 legs of the Four Crown so far. Springfield is also in the Four Crown. That's the Atlas 100 where we are right now. And Salem at the end of the year. Little mix of every style of racetrack, and the driver who accumulates the most points at those 4 racetracks wins the Four Crown. As we mentioned, Brandon Jones has won the first 2, but he's not racing in all of them. He's not here, and he's not supposed to be in Salem, so still kind of wide open.
Yeah, and Ty Gibbs won last year. I think it took him the last race to finally win that after a stellar season a year ago. I know Brett Holmes won it in his championship season. He was awarded at a dirt track, so just pick 4 of those challenging races throughout the year. We're in race number 3 of the CGS Imaging Four Crown.
Good mix of racetracks, challenges every discipline a driver would have here in the ARCA Menards series. Good test of versatility for sure. We are in our first race break. Teams making adjustments on pit road. We'll find out exactly what they did when we return. Jesse Love has been your leader throughout. Don't go away. We'll be right back to the Springfield Mile for the Atlas 100. The Illinois State Fair in full swing here in Springfield, Illinois. Lots of people enjoying the rides.
That's my speed, by the way.
Corn dogs for Jim Trato.
The Ferris wheel speed and the Sky Glider speed. And that's my go-to right there.
All right, we're waiting for the corn dogs to arrive in the booth. We've been waiting for quite some time. Meanwhile,
that's not my speed.
No, those will make you not hold on to those corn dogs, that's for sure. You know, as much fun as it is out there, the main attraction at the State Fair today is inside the Speedway, and you might need that jug of refreshing lemonade to sit back and enjoy all the racing action here in the Atlas 100. And we're 38 laps in, still a lot to be decided here today. The first adjustments being made, and Rob Klepper's going to tell you what these teams are thinking about. Rob?
Guys, it looked like a routine stop for the number 15 for Buddy Kofoid, Kevin Reed, crew chief for Venturini Motorsports, as they get set to send their driver back out on the racetrack. But it looked like the 15 was pretty good. You said kind of a routine stop for you guys here.
Yeah, it's pretty routine. I mean, just coming for the break. Our Mobile One Toyota has been excellent today. Buddy's done a phenomenal job in practice, and obviously come over into the race, started 6th there, rolled right up to P2, and following Jesse around there and learning the car and learning the aspects of the heavier car on dirt, but it's done a really good job. And I know Bill and Kathy are watching back home. Bill had surgery last week. We're thinking about you. Wish you were here with us, but we'll see you next week in Milwaukee. But Buddy Kofoid's hopefully take us Mobile One Toyota to victory lane today.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Kevin
Bill
also
Venturini had knee surgery last week.
Yep, Kevin also helped a guy named Justin Haley, a current Cup Series star, win his one and only dirt race on a mile racetrack here in ARCA. So Kevin's got a great shoe, but he also has a lot of knowledge to get these cars just right. That nose was actually damaged in practice. The red stripes are taped to hold that nose up. Kevin's got a little changing going on. They got what they think is fixed on the 15 as well. Good job by those guys.
Interesting to hear him say it's routine, just learning about the car, just letting things settle in. They didn't get the chance to do that in regular practice or qualifying earlier today because of the weather. They're learning a lot now, and now it's all going to be on the line as we head into the final stages of this race. Let's check in now with another driver, Jim. Well, we'll check back in with one of the drivers shortly as we get ready to go back to green flag racing. It's been interesting so far to watch some of the dirt track experts, if you will. Buddy Kofoid up to second, just biding his time at this point, it would seem. Jesse Love, his teammate, has been out front for the duration of this race so far. Taylor Gray and Sammy Smith have been racing almost side by side throughout the course of this event. They are third and fourth currently on the grid. They were pretty much locked at the hip at Watkins Glen just a couple of days ago, and they haven't found much separation between themselves here in this race either. There's Sammy Smith. What a busy weekend it has been for that young man. ARCA race at Watkins Glen on Friday. Xfinity race on Saturday. Now here he is. Got in at 10:30 last night. Very little sleep, but he's awfully racy, Jim.
18 radio was good. Hey, Sammy Smith, Jim Trado in the MAV TV booth. You had 38 laps of experience now. What'd you ask for Mark McFarland in this change, in this pit stop?
Yeah, I think just get through the bumps better. It's really rough. I think that's what I'm struggling with most, but I feel like we got a good car here. We'll see how it goes. Still learn a little bit, but having a good time.
What have you learned racing on the inside and now restarting in both inside and outside lanes here on this challenging dirt track?
Yeah, that last restart, buddy, just didn't go, and I was able to kind of lose the position to Taylor, but we'll see how it goes here.
We wish you well. Thank you, Sammy. He's getting geared up here. He's getting ready to go. I can tell by his game voice. Sammy Smith getting advice from his crew chief, getting input as well about how to restart these races. We also noticed the right front on his Toyota has been knocked off due to the track conditions here more than anything else, trying to get the most out of these corners.
Yeah, the corners have been unforgiving, to say the least. Field bunching up once again. And for the second restart in a row, you see Jesse Love electing to start in the outside groove.
Well, it gives Sammy that chance. He mentioned that Buddy didn't go. This is the third time Buddy Kofoid did not have as clean of a restart, potentially, as Jesse Love. So I think that's a good thing for the 18 car of Sammy Smith. Again, only the race restart leader has lane choice. Initial start and every restart. So it's not a choose, but it's also to the benefit, I think, of Sammy Smith this time and his peace of mind.
Well, the restart has been waved off, which gives us another opportunity to check in with Rob, trackside.
Yeah, Mike, just a quick update. We saw the 69 of Will Kimmel come in here just prior to that scheduled stop. He is out of the race car. He has done overheating issues on the 69, also overheating issues for Tony Breidinger. She came in as well. She is done. We saw Amber Balkin in the 30 make about 4 pit stops prior to that lap 35 scheduled pit stop there. So she has been in and out a lot. They have kind of gone to the fill up the bucket full of water, throw it all over the front end of the car to not only help cool it off, but to get some of that dirt/mud off the front grille and sent her back out, as I said, about 4 times. So a lot of teams dealing with overheating issues. We talk about it every year that we come to the Springfield Mile, and we did see a lot of drivers working not only on their race cars to make them better, but they were working on brakes too during that pit stop.
Thank you, Rob. We just saw a real good close-up of Amber Balkin. You can see how much dirt just caked on that grill.
Yeah, and actually they cleared away the dirt, and you saw the grill actually moved in. Not only the mud just compacting on the front edge, but actually moved that grill back a bit. So a lot of issues there on that Rhett Jones Racing Ford. Hopefully she can overcome that with a decent finish here. A lot of issues for the other first-timers. 8 first-time drivers here on the Dirt Mile in ARCA Menards Series competition.
And that's a mix with some of these dirt track ringers. So quite a diverse field, to say the least. Meanwhile, the field is bunched up. They pair up side by side, coming through turns 3 into turn number 4, looking for the green flag now. Buddy Kofoid on the inside. It'll be interesting to see if he can keep up with Jesse Love, who's been awfully quick on these restarts so far. Patience, patience, patience. Green flag is out. Jesse Love on the gas, and look at Sammy Smith right in his tire tracks. He'll go with him.
This is not Daytona, but that push that Sammy got to the back of the number 20 at the restart was everything to get position. But look at Buddy Kofoid on the bottom, just trying to race him hard, and Sammy Smith is up in the weeds and trying to find his way back to second.
Jesse Love has an absolute rocket ship. You can just see him take off on those restarts. That's the car that Corey Heim drove to victory a year ago, and it looks awfully good, just as good as it did back 1 year ago.
Jesse's pulling away. We've got a great restart here by Buddy Kofoid, and look at the blue car in the picture. Ryan Unzicker out of El Paso, Illinois, an hour and a half north of here, making the hometown crowd stand up. A lot of Unzicker fans cheering their driver back up to third after that spin to bring out our second caution.
Yeah, he's had to overcome some adversity. We talked about that spin. He initially started this race toward the back of the field, then he had that spin, had to come back from the back of the field again, and now once again, he's inside the top three. Now remember, Ryan Unzicker, no stranger to this racetrack, came to victory lane just a couple of years ago.
A great win for him. Again, Bill Hendren has said, this is my last year. Raja Caruth sideways, literally losing it in front of Sammy Smith. What a great onboard look on the Bounty onboard camera.
And Daniel Dye now diving to the bottom of the racetrack.
Guess who's behind
his way
him?
up underneath.
The series point leader. They're 1 and 2 in the points. Dye is only 11 points back, and he shut the door on Nick Sanchez, the point leader, behind him, that red and that white and black number 2.
Lots of congestion here. You saw Nick Sanchez do a bit of a crossover move from the inside toward the outside. Now a look from our onboard camera with Daniel Dye. The race to stop suicide on board. Sammy Smith able to pull away a little bit, but Nick Sanchez going to work on the inside of Daniel Dye, trying to slip on by him through the corner.
Michael Self and Brett Holmes on the dirt mile here at Springfield had a big issue in turn 1. They were points racing 1 and 2. That cost them big time. They both had to rally back for a chance at the championship. Could this be a race deciding run between Dye and now Sanchez ahead of him? The 2 cars, Sanchez got by Dye cleanly for 7th.
That big cloud of smoke just shows you what the vision is like on the racetrack right now, Jim. At some points, it's hard to see exactly where they're going. Let's take a quick look back now at what just transpired between Daniel Dye and Nick Sanchez. Sanchez to the inside, Daniel Dye to the outside, just trying to hold on to the spot.
Sanchez gave him a tap on entry, and Daniel had to give him the inside line. Great run up the inside. Everything implied here. That's another point to the good for Sanchez. It's also a Reese's Sweet Move candidate because of what is going on the line here. We've got the 2 and the 43 in a points championship battle. Both have never been on a dirt track, so Sanchez getting that advantage and pulling away from Dye right now, that is a statement move.
Nick Sanchez completely unfazed by what he's facing. Finished second at Watkins Glen, said he wished he had won, obviously, but still said he overachieved, if you will. Thought he had a 4th or 5th place car there, came away with a 2nd, was able to extend his points lead. Here today, he says, listen, I'm looking for points, but at the same time, I want to win a dirt race. Feels like it's on the bucket list, wants to do it, not going to settle for 2nd. Racing hard, still got a bit of work to do. He's back in 7th.
In frame now, that black number 18 is Sammy Smith. He started on this race restart outside of row 2. Came off of turn 2 on the restart and was back in 5th. He's now in that position, losing ground to the leaders, but holding in 5th. Sammy Smith really trying to find the grip he thought he would have on that restart. But again, a push wide in turns 1 and 2 cost them all this time.
Yeah, well, Jesse Love has been out front the duration of this race. Lots of racing for position behind him. Sammy Smith, Taylor Gray, just about ready to go to battle again. We've seen a lot of this in the last few days.
Yeah, a lot this season. Both racing for the Sioux Chief Showdown. This is not a Sioux Chief Showdown race, but these drivers are racing a partial schedule. They're qualified for that. Milwaukee next Sunday will be a Sioux Chief Showdown race, so they'll take it to the pavement mile in Milwaukee next weekend.
Now we get a couple of dirt track veterans about to dice it up, if you will. Ryan Unzicker trying to close in on Buddy Kofoid now, separated by about a car length.
Unzicker's trying to get his car where he wants it to get. He doesn't race these races, but the 2 dirt races. Unzicker's had experience here, but it's been a whole year since he ran DuQuoin on Labor Day Sunday. Getting this car right at Springfield, all those track changes, he's He's getting it dialed in, but I think he might need a little more because these full-time teams literally are equalizing. When Ryan Hunziker came in as an advantage, you bring in a ringer like Buddy Kofoid, you bring in Jesse Love, who's finished really well on 2 dirt races on the miles a year ago. Hunziker's right there in third, but I think he might have to do something out of the trick bag on the next pit stop to catch these 2 youngsters out front.
Yeah, 2 totally different races between those 2 drivers. Buddy Kofoid has been in second place most of the day, while Ryan Hunziker, well, he's had to come from the back to the front a couple of times.
And Buddy Kofoid is making his ARCA Menards Series debut on the dirt mile. Looking forward to seeing Buddy race again. I want to say, hey, Venerini, do you have your car lineup filled up for DuQuoin? It would a $50,000 bonus if Buddy Kofoid wins here and DuQuoin. That could change their mind if he's able to pass one driver in Jesse Love.
Well, there could be another Venturini car in victory lane. I mean, Jesse Love's out in front, so who knows?
Yeah, that'd be a big win for Jesse Love and Kevin Reed. I'm sorry, Kevin Reed's with the 15 of Buddy Kofoid, but Shannon Rush in that number 20 team, he's also gone to victory here on the dirt mile with Michael Self a couple years ago.
So you knew that Jesse Love had the mentality to go after this victory the minute we saw him in the garage today, didn't we, Jim? What was he wearing?
An autographed Steve Kinzer Quaker State number 11 t-shirt.
Autographed. Not only was he a driver, he's a fan of a man who is incredible on dirt tracks. He channeled that same mentality, and Jesse Love is doing him proud right now. And now let's check back in trackside. Rob Klepper's caught up with one of the other drivers.
Yeah, guys, unfortunately for Kelly Kofsky, his day ends early here in the pits. First time since we saw you run 5th here back in 2020, but it sounded like problem underneath the hood, Kelly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the motor blew up. What happened was going in there after that restart, the 6th car went in there and blasted me and hit me hard enough, it jarred it. I think it came out of gear, and by the time you get your things all gathered up, it's too late, so I think we end up hurting the valve train. But no, our motor was good. We had no problems there. Just, I don't know what the SIC was thinking. Need to be a little more patient on the restart. And the problem is with the way the racetrack is, the bottom lane's so wide, you know, with all the garbage we had earlier today, guys are going down in there on the restart. They're not giving you no courtesy. So I remember that. You know, I don't race for points, so I'm not going to be a butthead, but I race people to respect. So we'll take it. Hopefully we get it fixed for DuQuoin and see what we can do.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
That's Kelly Kofsky, guys. Got a couple of UMP modified wins this year. His day will end early here at the Springfield Mile.
He's talking about Raja Karuth, who's racing full-time in the points. If there's anything he wants to give back to Raja at DuQuoin, that could be a big implication for Raja after Kelly's disappointment here today with that young first-time driver here on the dirt.
Well, it's been an eventful race so far. Let's check in with our Richmond Water Heaters mid-race recap to catch you up with what's transpired here over the course of the first 54 laps. We went green a little bit later than anticipated, about 2:45 Central because of weather. Didn't stop Jesse Love from getting off to a good start. Lots of body slamming. Nick Sanchez, your point leader, getting into it with Daniel Dye. Dye sliding to the inside. He's been able to recover. He's running 8th currently. Meanwhile, Buddy Kofoid doing very well. How about Taylor Gray? He's been on fire as of late. Putting on a good show here as well. Ryan Hunziker has really put on a show.
He spun out right here. Crazy day for Hunziker in the first half of this race.
Brake issues there that resulted in that spin. Hasn't stopped him. He's running 3rd right now. Came from the back of the field toward the front. And here's a look at what we've seen so far. We've only had one leader. Jesse Love has been absolutely dominant out front. We've had a few cautions, 3 of them. 11 cars still on the lead lap. 7 cars are out of the race. And so far, the fastest lap turn, well, probably not a surprise, Buddy Kofoid.
Mike, you mentioned we're getting a word now from ARCA officials because of the late race start and what goes on during the fair. This racetrack needs to conform into a concert venue. So we're getting word, all teams now have been told, we have 12 more minutes of racing. We're going to checkered flag the race at the top of the hour.
Well, it's a Sammy Hagar concert coming up. He can't drive 55, and neither can these guys. They've got to step it up 12 minutes of racing remaining, and this changes everything, Jim.
It gets the meter going because there's no more race breaks. There's no more chance to come to pit road. Yes, they got the 4 tires at lap 35, but that was 20 laps ago. So getting these cars right, you got what you got. You better get the pedal down. We've got a gap here of a second from first to second, another 2 seconds back to third. These teams know it's go time.
It is go time, and you can see Buddy Kofoid starting to close in on his teammate Jesse Love. Jesse Love has been out front the entire race, but that gap is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Kofoid knows he has very little time and is now within, I don't know, 2 car lengths or so.
I think Buddy got the notice. Hey, Buddy, you know you're saving something? Throw that thought out the window. Chase that car down.
We just saw the statistics. Buddy Kofoid had turned the fastest lap of the race, so we know he has the ability to turn up the wick.
Half a second gain there. You see it on the left-hand side of our screen. The scoring pylon shows the difference at the start-finish line. Kofoid is coming.
Jesse Love's got a mirror full of his teammates. Remember the dirt double. You can win here in Springfield and in DuQuoin. In just a couple of weeks, you can pick up a $50,000 bonus. Don't think both these drivers don't know that. Even though Kofoid isn't entered in the DuQuoin race yet, a victory could change that. Who knows? Jesse Love riding the bottom of the racetrack, going to encounter a slower car now. Maneuvers below him. Kofoid in his tire tracks, trying to reel him in on the back straightaway.
And Taylor Gray really hanging it out there, man. He had a lot of fun racing at Millbridge with his brother when he was 10 years old. He hasn't been on the dirt track since. That was a tear-off off the windshield. Taylor's doing everything he possibly can to get every bit of traction and outs out of here to keep the 18 car behind him. Narrow groove there. We see a very narrow lane of drier dirt not up in the marbles. The track's narrowed up here in the final moments.
Can't help but think what happened just a couple of days ago at Watkins Glen between these two, battling for the lead on the final restart. They got together. Neither one of them went to victory lane.
Taylor Gray went wide that time. Sammy's now in the dark, smooth stuff here. Can he get to him?
He's there.
It's still holding at a 0.57 second difference between our leaders. This is the battle for fourth. 10 minutes left, Mike.
Calling this race like a basketball game at this point. 10 minutes remaining in the race. This the battle right now for 4th position. Sammy Smith just behind Taylor Gray. Gray holding the spot for the time being. Trying to keep that bottom groove closed, keeping Sammy Smith out of there. You can see the 17 getting sideways almost there. Inside groove is open now. Here comes Sammy Smith. Can he get a run? Smith to the inside of Gray, and he's got the spot off the corner. Taylor Gray just opened up that inside, and Sammy Smith was able to keep it down on the bottom of the racetrack and pick up the spot. He moves to 4th.
Can you believe Rajah Caruth is putting it on Taylor Gray? Taylor finished 3rd and 5th last year on the dirt. We thought he'd have a huge advantage on these first-timers. And here comes Caruth in the Gamebridge 6. That's the battle for 5th.
Caruth down low. Taylor Gray's got a handful right now.
All over the racetrack. It almost looked like the left rear tire was going down. Just a matter of getting a handle on that Ford while under the gas. Taylor does not want to give up the spot. Back on the front stretch here as the clock continues. The sands in the hourglass continue to drip away here on Taylor Gray's run to the top 5. There's Nick Sanchez in there too. Wow.
Sanchez, Caruth behind Taylor Gray. Good battle going on right now. Teammates now close to contact. Didn't have it. Now though, inside-outside move there by Nick Sanchez. He's got a rear-view mirror full of his teammate Rajah Caruth. Caruth looking to the inside. Can't get there. These two drivers came in 1 and 3 in the point standings coming off of Watkins Glen. Nick Sanchez, your points leader. Rajah Caruth back in 3rd before this race. Things could change here for sure. Daniel Dye, who was 2nd in points, is back in 8th position now. Remember, we're on a clock. The minutes are dripping away. This is not about laps at this point. They're on a clock because of a schedule. This will be a shortened race. And all of these drivers are quite aware. Taylor Gray trying to hold off Nick Sanchez. We're told now 8 minutes remaining in the race.
The top two are on the backstretch. This is a battle entering turn number 3 for the 4th position. Right now, it's between the battle for the top 2 spots, and this battle for 4th rages on here. Again, Nick Sanchez now gets 1 point more than Raja Karuth. 1 more point to add to his 11-point lead over Daniel Dye if this all breaks out the way we run right now. And another point on his teammate.
All about weighing the decision, whether or not to be aggressive or just lay back and make sure you end up with a decent points day. That's got to be on the minds of some of these competitors. Nick Sanchez, especially trying to make his way around Taylor Gray. Not inhibiting him one bit. Dives to the inside of the racetrack. Tries to get up alongside the 17.
Taylor's making that outside work, I think, just on pure will right now. What a great run he's had. Up in the loose stuff and still able to hang on to that position.
These guys do not want to leave anything on the table. Only about 6 or 7 minutes remaining in this event.
Lap car here. The 06 of Zachary Tinkle in his final drive for Wayne Peterson Racing.
It's a great battle going on right now.
Taylor's able to get to the bottom rail in turn 1, but that car just will not hold the bottom. His crew chief, Chad Johnston, does a lot of dirt racing. He actually had a midget. He fielded his own midget for Ethan Mitchell at the Lucas Oil Chili Bowl this year. Works a lot with Tanner Gray, Taylor's older brother, at Millbridge. So the dirt thing is in Chad's system. Just matter of getting Taylor a car that he wants and trying to hold the bottom, which is not happening right now for that number 17 driver, the 17-year-old out of Artesia, New Mexico.
Talked to Nick Sanchez before the race, completely unfazed by the fact that this is his first dirt track event. Feels like he could adapt. Told me it drives a lot like an asphalt track, more like an asphalt track than a traditional dirt track. Same thing with Taylor Gray's crew chief, Chad Johnston, who comes from a dirt track background, told me this is not a traditional dirt track. A lot of asphalt applications do apply when it comes here. Oh, a little bit of a wiggle by the 17, and Nick Sanchez right there on the rear bumper.
Taylor is just hanging on to this car. We saw an entry out of shape. Now we see him get touched. That's a nudge, the right front bumper of the 2. Sanchez into Taylor Gray in the waning moments here.
Sanchez finds a way by the 17. May have been a little bit of contact there on the way through. Taylor Gray gets up the racetrack a little bit after that contact. Still up in the middle groove. And Raja Karuth trying to make that bottom line work.
So impressive. Raja Karuth never been on a dirt track. I talked to his crew chief, Brad Means, earlier today. He said, give Raja 3 laps. He'll figure out a new racetrack. He's done a lot of that this year in his first full season here in the ARCA Menards Series. First time on the dirt, racing here for a top 6 position. Great job by Raja in the 6.
Raja Karuth going back to Winston-Salem State University this week, where he is a motorsports management major, but right now going to school on some other drivers here. Taylor Gray putting him in his rearview mirror. Gray, though, really trying to handle that race car. It certainly looks like it's not the same car he had about 20 laps ago.
No, he's got a notebook that says what not to do after that last change. Raja Karuth's got a notebook that's full of notes about how to improve. 2 weeks' time, Sunday night of Labor Day weekend, we're back on the dirt mile of DuQuoin at the Southern Illinois Fairgrounds.
Meanwhile, up front, Jesse Love, he has led every lap in this race, still maintaining the lead as the sand begins to run out of the hourglass. 3 minutes remaining in this race. Buddy Kofoid, who we all thought was one to watch coming into this race, has been running second, just stalking his teammates, trying to close that gap. But Jesse Love has a very, very fast race car, has been throughout the course of the day, driving the same machine that went to victory a year ago with Corey Heim behind the wheel.
Through traffic here, a couple of cars ahead. This is on board with our race leader, Jesse Love. Now we get a look at what he sees. We saw the dust off of turn 2. This is out the front windshield of our race leader coming down the backstretch. Looks a little bit cleaner than what we see from the up camera here.
Very cloudy.
Ooh, here
comes Kofoid.
It's full.
We're closing in on the final laps here. Jesse Love has dominated, but it's not over yet. Buddy Kofoid takes a peek to the outside.
Like road racing, these teams know it's counting down. We're waiting to see Denise Engel wave the white flag. She has yet to do so. At least one more mile around this Springfield dirt track.
Eyes on the starter stand right now as the clock winds down. Not exactly sure when the last lap will come.
Kofoid's coming. Through the cloud emerges the race for the race lead, coming to the white flag potentially this time. Kofoid right to the back bumper.
Jesse Love battling hard, trying to not give his teammate any room down low, protecting that line. Oh, we got big trouble on the front straightaway.
They're going to put out the red.
Red flag is out.
Kofoid looking to the inside of our race leader, has connected with the number 12 of Bryce Hageberg.
Hageberg, a slower car. Scary incident right at start-finish.
15 has the window net now.
Red flag is out. Safety officials on the scene.
Hit the wall right here on the main straightaway, and Buddy Kofoid with no.
Definitely not something you want to see.
Now, when we talk about the visibility, we talk about the speed differences. That's a really good look right there.
That's a good sign. Buddy Kofoid climbing from his machine.
Given everything they could on the final moments, they knew the white flag was about to unfurl. Kofoid had closed to the rear bumper of our race leader. Gave a look at the exact wrong time with a lap car right there.
Safety workers attending to the 12. Bryce Hageberg.
Yeah, Hageberg was running in the 10th spot, 2 laps down. As he was making his way for the leaders to come by, Buddy just got to him. A big impact.
Red flag is out. As time was winding down, coming toward the closing laps there.
This is the finish, guys. We're done.
And this will essentially end the race. Not the way we anticipated it ending. Jesse Love is the winner. Dominated this race, but right now that's not the main story.
I'm sorry. We do have time constraints, but it's going to be a while before we get this cleaned up. Thank you very much.
We're going to take a break now from the Springfield Mile. When we return, we'll have an update. Is that Hageberg was able to walk away. We don't know what his condition is now, of course, but certainly good to see him walk under his own power to the ambulance. Don't go away, folks. We still have more from the Springfield Mile when we return. Welcome back to the Springfield Mile, where the Atlas 100 has just concluded in a very subdued and scary way. In the closing lap, a dramatic, spectacular, and scary crash involving Bryce Hageberg. But out front at the time was Jesse Love. He's the winner. He's in victory lane. He's climbing from the car now, celebrating the victory. He started on the pole and led every lap.
What a way to run. He would have had to fight off Buddy Kofoid's challenge. He knew what he had in his race car. Buddy, if he was saving something, was about to put the pressure on when the accident on the front stretch stopped this race and stopped his charge. And Jesse's certainly getting hugged there by his crew chief, Shannon Rush, and celebrating with his Venturini Motorsports team.
And it's a subdued celebration because of the crash that happened as they came to the start-finish on the final lap. And Jesse Love's teammate, Buddy Kofoid, was involved in that crash as well. Let's check in now. Let's go to victory lane with Rob Klepper, who's with our winner.
Well, guys, for Jesse Love, 23rd career start with the ARCA Menards Series, second career win. First here at the mile at Springfield, just a tremendous, dominating performance. The 20 was hooked up here. Venturini Motorsports team had you into victory lane, man. Nice job.
Yeah, first off, all glory to God, and second of all, really happy and grateful that Buddy's all right. That was pretty wicked. I don't think any of us saw the lap car until we were there. So Thank God he's all right. And other than that, we had a phenomenal Toyota Camry today. Huge thank you to all of our sponsors, JBL.com, for being on this thing today. It was a rocket ship. I'm sure Buddy and I were chomping at the bit last night seeing it rain, and then this morning it was getting a little rough and obviously really technical. I mean, like, you got like half a car length of moisture to get your left rear and left front end. So it got really technical at the end, and then we started to drive away. So, Buddy is my favorite dirt driver growing up. I always looked up to him, and I was starting to get into dirt racing. He was obviously the man at like 14 years old. So it's an honor to beat him today, and he's obviously a tremendous talent. So huge thank you to Jack, Trent, Tyler, everybody at Toyota Racing Development, and hi to my family back home. Happy we can get this one and get our season rolling in the right direction.
We've seen you behind the wheel of midgets this year, doing a lot more dirt racing. I mean, you didn't really grow up on the dirt, but as of late, the last few years, been getting behind the wheel and running more dirt races. Are we going to see more dirt from Jesse Love?
My boy Chad Vogt wants to put me in the race car, so hopefully Chad's watching right now. And man, what a great day! This is awesome. So no, it's been great running with Chad and the micro stuff and the midget stuff, and hopefully Billy lets me run Davenport next week if Chad's cool with it, and hopefully we can keep this one rolling.
All right, congratulations, great win. There he is, guys. Jesse Love getting it done here today at Springfield.
A dominant victory for Jesse Love. He called it a rocket ship, and you really can't doubt that. He was out front every restart. He just took off, and very few drivers could stay with him, including his teammate. He was certainly the class of the field.
Two young California talents. Jesse Love's been in this series now for 3 seasons. Buddy Kofoid making his debut. Buddy's 20 years of age. And the young driver that we just talked to, it turned 17 in January. If he's looking up to Buddy Kofoid at age 10 and 11, knowing the talent's there, that's the age that Buddy Kofoid was racing across the country, and Jesse Love started racing nationally at age 10 and winning the Madeira Junior Late Model Championship on pavement, among many, many dirt races.
All right, well, Rob has caught up with Buddy Kofoid. Rob?
Yeah, guys, it was a pretty hard lick for Buddy Kofoid there at start-finish line, man. Had no clue that car was there. Just a really hard crash. How are you feeling right now, man?
I'm okay. I'm kind of sore, so I'll probably be sore tomorrow and in the next few days. So, yeah, pretty unfortunate. It would have been nice to at least run the timeout, and I felt like we were slowly getting closer to Jesse, and I felt like we were, a tenth to half second faster lap, they were telling me, and I kind of finally found where I needed to be and not push the nose or hang the tail out and exit, and so it would have been nice to finish off the race, but even when I was behind Jesse, I'd be 2 cars behind him and I couldn't even see him, so I don't know what could have been different about that, or if having windshields makes it kind of tough, and the glare makes it 10 times worse, and I'm glad he's all right, and I'm not sure what happened to him, but I feel like if you're broke or stopped, you need to be off the racing line and down to the bottom, but I guess I can only assume what happened, but yeah, it's just unfortunate, but still glad to finish second, I guess, and know that we had good speed, and I felt comfortable, and I thought we had a faster car, so I owe it all to Kevin Reed and the whole crew, and Venturini Motorsports and Mobil 1 and Toyota for giving me a really good opportunity to drive a really good Toyota Camry.
What'd you do late in the race? It looked like you kind of closed the gap between you and Jesse Love there last couple laps, and maybe were you planning on any specific move here coming to the white?
I just was staying tighter on the guardrail and could keep it straighter and more. I felt like I was a little bit more disciplined on the throttle without hanging it out and slipping off the moisture strip on the guardrail. So, I feel like that was kind of something I found, and it would keep me straighter, and I could get to the throttle harder on exit. And, I felt like I was, within a lap or two, I probably could have poked my nose in there and moved him off the groove and tried something, but I guess we'll never know, unfortunately.
Well, thanks for your time. Glad to see you're okay, man.
Thank you.
That's Buddy Kofoid, guys. Great to see him out of that race car after that hard hit here on the front straightaway.
Yeah, it is great to see him with a smile on his face and doing okay. He took an awfully tough hit.
You mentioned about the glare. His only stock car experience has been in a pavement late model in the upper Midwest with Dan Fredrickson. So in terms of his ability to see and navigate, yeah, it's a big difference. Talking to Tony Stewart when he made the change from Indy cars to stock cars about having that windscreen in front of you and Tony's a little claustrophobic. That whole idea of being encapsulated versus an open wheel car with the open cockpit, literally, you can see all the way around you. There's nothing glaring in front of you. You just got to worry about keeping your windscreen clean and your tear-offs on the helmet. So, yeah, it was a lot to overcome and a lot to learn from Buddy Kofoid's great run here today.
Well, one of the drivers to watch today was a man who made his way from the back of the field to the front a couple of times. That'll be Ryan Unzicker. Finished second today. He's with Rob.
Yeah, guys, it was fun to watch Ryan Unzicker come from the back to the front. And maybe it wasn't fun for you to go from the back to the front, but for the fans, it was cool to see a dirt track guy race his way to the front. How good was this car here today, my friend?
Well, it was really difficult coming from the back to the front. You know, we had to make the best out of it and use that higher line early just to try to stay out of trouble. But we definitely had a car that we could have, I think, maybe possibly win the race, but you know, these young kids are good. I just can't thank Hindered Motorsports enough, really, for putting the car together for us. You know, we just had a really good car all day. We got tight there at the end, but at the end of the day, coming home third, starting way in the back, tore up nose and stuff, I'm pretty happy with our results.
How much do you like coming to the Springfield Mile?
No, I really enjoy racing here. I just wish the track was a little smoother. I wish we could have qualified, you know, because I really feel like we had a really good hot rod, and we could have came up through, you know, possibly challenged for the lead there. And once I spun myself out there going for it, I just really took myself out of contention. And, you know, it's hated for the guys that I did that, but I was really, you know, pushing in it right there at the beginning and trying to get the track position, because I knew if I could get out front, I could have a clean windshield and be good. But that's one of the battles here at Springfield, especially when it's dirty, is just getting your windshield dirty. And when that happens, it's hard to battle back.
Fun to watch you today. Thanks for the time, Ryan.
All right, appreciate you guys.
Guys, 2 years ago, a winner here at Springfield. Today on the box.
Can't wait to see him race in a couple weeks at DuQuoin, Mike. It's going to be fun to watch him kind of prove to this team in the final drive for Bill Hendren as a team owner at ARCA to put it together on that dirt mile.
Certainly knows what he's doing, that's for sure. Made his way from the back to the front a couple of times today. Heard him say he was disappointed that qualifying was washed out. Had he started up front, maybe things would have been different.
Mike, you mentioned this racetrack first started racing in 1910. We get to go next Sunday to the Milwaukee Mile, the oldest active motorsports facility in the world. They started racing there in 1903. It's the Sprecher 150 right here on MAV TV next Sunday in ARCA Menards Series East and ARCA Menards Series Race and a Sioux Chief Showdown. A lot going on next Sunday on the paved mile in Milwaukee.
Always fun to go to Milwaukee. Should be exciting next week. Let's check back in with Rob Klepper. Rob?
Guys, the 2021 ARCA East champ, current points leader. Solid finish for you here today. You told me, I don't know what to expect on the dirt. You said that prior to practice, and we're going to try a few things out. What worked, what didn't work for you here today at Springfield, Sam?
Yeah, I think I just learned all day. I've never been on a dirt track before, and I think I feel like I did a okay job. Just struggled a little bit on some things, but yeah, just the track wasn't very good today. I think it was just really rough. I know everybody else had the same conditions, so just need to go back and get better, I guess.
Sioux Chief Showdown points leader, we're being told through the radio here, so that's pretty cool. But a great finish for you here at Springfield. First time here. You have to be pretty happy with the results and moving on into the next event.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I'm happy, I guess, with the result. I love, you know, obviously you come to win every time, but learned a lot today, and we'll move on.
All right, guys, Sammy Smith, solid performance here at the Springfield Mile, and first time on the dirt, not too bad for the 18.
And Mike, you told me that he's racing Daytona Xfinity next Saturday.
So this is Sammy Smith's schedule for the week. A couple of road course races at Watkins Glen, then a day later he's going to show up and do a dirt track race, and and then take a few days off before he takes his shot at super speedway racing in Daytona. Talk about drinking from a fire hose. That's how Sammy Smith is learning right now.
And he's leading the ARCA Menards Series East points. I expect him to be fresh and ready Sunday morning at Milwaukee for the ARCA Menards Series race we're showing next Sunday.
He has shown that he has versatility and can adapt to whatever conditions are thrown at him. Didn't have a lot of time to prepare, had very little experience at a track like this. Still, there he is up front again. And at the end, during those closing minutes, he was relentless, just trying to make his way toward the front.
General Tire on board giving us this shot. Jesse Love, a happy and relieved 17-year-old winner here in the ARCA Menards Series.
Jesse Love, your winner in dominant fashion today for Venturini Motorsports. He wins the Atlas 100. An incredible run for the young man who picks up the victory today.
This MAV TV Motorsports Network broadcast has been brought to you by Richmond Water Heaters, the water heater experts. Auto Park It, the future of parking is here. See it at autoparkit.com. And by Lucas Oil. Keep that engine alive.
And welcome back to the Illinois State Fairgrounds. The fair is going on outside. Lots of rides and activities, and of course, lots of nice treats that aren't good for your waistline, Jim Trato. That's for sure.
They're so good.
Corn
So
dogs,
good.
pizza, and ice cream. Fun for everyone. But you
Funnel
know what?
cakes. Don't forget about the funnel cakes. Elephant ears.
Speaking of sweets and things that we all enjoy, how about Reese's Pieces, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, and Reese's Sweet Moves?
That was early in the
One
race. Daniel
nominee.
Dye, nice save.
Daniel Dye, a second nominee as well. Nick Sanchez to the inside. They would race door to door for a while, but Jesse Love, man, I'll tell you what, he was the sweet move.
That's the third choice you have tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. on Twitter at ARCA_racing. That's where you want to find it. Which of those three choices are yours to choose from here?
That's the beauty. The fans get to choose on social media. It'll be out there tomorrow with your options. You get to weigh in to see which is the Reese's Sweet Move of the race. And of course, that's on the Twitter site at ARCA Racing. Begins at 9 a.m. tomorrow.
So what are you going to do now that the Sammy Hagar sound check's going? You can hang around in the stands, Mike? You going to go up on the Ferris wheel? Because that's a great view of the racetrack.
Well, you know, I'm sitting here and I'm feeling the bass. It really, it's a close second to the racing action we just saw.
I Can't Drive 55. He's got his own, tequila, I think it is. Sammy Hagar.
Just
He's
adds
the front Van Halen, Van Hagar.
Just adds to the action that we've seen here today. A lot of fans here at the State Fair getting ready to enjoy that after what was a pretty exciting ARCA Menards Series race. A shortened one. A little bit interesting in the sense that it started a little bit late because of the weather. If you joined us earlier, you knew that the storms came through here yesterday afternoon and left this racetrack in a very soupy condition early this morning. The track crew went to work. Endless work, it would seem, to get it ready. And we started about an hour and 45 minutes late, but once it got going, this track was rather racy.
Yeah, it really became a good racetrack that was wet on the bottom. It's still a little bit moist way down low, but you saw the drivers adapt. You heard Jesse Love, our race winner, say putting the left front in the wet was where you needed to put your left front tire. That's called dirt experience. That you can't teach that in a 100-mile race with a 20-minute practice session beforehand. So credit to Jesse about adapting there. And I'm really taken away from an impression that Taylor Gray's good on dirt, no matter how good the car handles. Also, Nick Sanchez and Raja Karuth in their first dirt races, as well as Daniel Dye, finishing top 10, coming out here with a good finish, beating guys like Kenny Schrader and other dirt ringers, man. It was a good showing by the full-time drivers here in the ARCA Menards Series on their first time on the dirt.
Just so much raw talent in this series. Drivers just able to adapt to these conditions, having never been here before. Very interesting. Let's check back in with our pit reporter, Rob Klepper. Rob?
Yeah, guys, it was great to be here at the Springfield Mile here today. As you said, Sammy Hagar doing the sound check, getting ready for the fans here at the Illinois State Fairgrounds. But some great racing that we saw with the ARCA Racing Series. And kudos to Bob Sargent, Track Enterprises, his entire crew, everybody here at the Springfield Mile, everything that they did to bring this track in. I mean, with all the rain they had this weekend, I mean, it dumped on us here last night. It had been misting all day long. The clouds kind of went away. The sun came out, got this track ready, and the racing was off the charts. So very glad to be back here at the Springfield Mile, and with the exception of the final lap with Buddy Kofoid getting to that hard crash, really an impressive race here today for all these ARCA Racing Series drivers.
Yeah, Rob's not kidding. The racetrack was muddy. I was ankle deep in it this morning walking to the infield garage. But the track workers did an excellent job getting this ready. And the folks at the fair enjoying a beautiful day on the gondolas above the speedway. What a day for Jesse Love.
I think he's going to go on a few of these rides because he knows what's ahead. Couple more races, and if he wins at DuQuoin, he gets the $50,000 Performance Seed Dirt double payday if he wins both of these dirt races.
Yeah, a little bit of incentive there for sure. But as we saw today, he's going to have some challenges. But again, he's had a rocket ship today, and I expect that'll probably be the same situation at DuQuoin. Well, folks, if you stuck with us, we certainly do appreciate it. And we hope that you enjoyed what you saw. A great race here in the Atlas 100 from the Illinois State Fairgrounds, the Springfield Mile. Jesse Love picking up the victory for Venturini Motorsports, dominating this race, leading every lap, picking up the victory. Congratulations, Jesse Love.